Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I have such a great episode for you today. We have Kim Rahir. She is a 60-year-old mother of three who was diagnosed with MS 10 years ago. She decided to ignore her doctor's advice and muscle her way back to a happy life. Last year, she became European champion in Masters Weightlifting in her age and weight category. Her journey inspired her to leave her career in journalism in her 50s and become a health coach for middle-aged women, with a big focus on reactivating and rebuilding muscle. Today, she helps women tap into an abundant source of vitality by reactivating and maintaining their muscles, while ditching diet culture and eating to nourish and flourish. We had such a wonderful conversation today. She shares her story of being diagnosed with MS and what she did to really thrive with her health and the journey that she took. We talk about the importance of building muscle, especially for us women as we age, where to start if you're brand new to weight training, how a positive mindset plays a role when we are facing challenges, especially something as big as a diagnosis like MS, and so much more. You can follow Kim on Instagram and check out her website. She is incredible. I really enjoyed meeting her, learning from her, and just the conversation that we had was so inspiring. It was also very informative. So this is great for anyone who is thinking about adding weight training, or if you're already weight training, the reminders of the importance of it. You can check out my show notes to get her links and enjoy this amazing episode. Hello, everyone. And today we have Kim Rahir with us. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be talking to you.
So excited. So you are a health coach for women, I would say, in midlife. And today we're going to talk about a bunch of different things. I'm excited to talk about building muscle and different things that you do. But you have a really interesting story and such an amazing journey. And I would love if you could share that with us. You were diagnosed with MS and you have come so far with your illness. So if you could maybe start with that and share a little bit about what you do, that would be amazing.
Yes, absolutely. So haven't always been a health coach. I used to be a journalist, and with my husband, we traveled the world. We moved every 4 years. We had 3 kids, and we loved that lifestyle. I was in Berlin when I was 45. My oldest child was like 10 or something. I had just gotten a steady job again, like a full employment. We were both journalists, but my husband had the job, and I followed around. So I worked as a freelancer, and I always had to start from scratch when we went to a new country, and it was great, but challenging. And we had moved to Berlin because I had found a full-time job there. So we both had like the great job, and I was so excited, and I thought that I had made it. Because I was raised, Germany was pretty conservative when I was a kid and a teenager, and I was raised to believe that you could either be a mom and like a good mom, or you could have a great career, but you could never have both. And I had always wanted to prove that you could do both. And I did great work as a freelancer, but the official recognition of you having made it was this job that I had, and I thought, this is it. That's the pinnacle. And then literally from one day to the next, I was like struck down by a disease. I started seeing double. So went to see a doctor because that's scary. They sent me to the hospital. I spent 6 weeks in hospital. My legs were becoming paralyzed over those weeks. And this wasn't even the MS, but that's it's a crazy, my story is crazy. This was just a syndrome. It's like a one-off autoimmune thing that happens often to soldiers, I think. It's just your immune system after a viral infection. It goes crazy and it starts attacking your nerve cells. And that's what had happened to me. It took a while for them to diagnose this because I had various symptoms. It didn't fit into the boxes. And with hindsight, I think maybe it was because I was living like a soldier because, that job and three kids and a new country and everything. I had to do a lot. And I think I was under a lot of pressure and stress, which I didn't really acknowledge. So I spent 6 weeks in the hospital, got out. I was in a wheelchair for Christmas. I had to start, walking again very slowly. I got some treatment, started walking on crutches. Then I walked by myself. It all went okay. I had treatment for about a year, and then I was given a clean bill of health. And they told me everything was normal. I was healthy again. And I was so happy because had been talk about needing treatment forever and stuff. And I thought, no, please. And they said, no, you're fine. This is gone. This was a one off. And there you are. And I thought, oh my God, I get a second shot at life. This is amazing. From the doctor's office, I called my husband. We both sort of cried on the phone. Yes, yes, yes. And I'm fine now. And I was fine for about a year. We moved again. We moved to France that time. And then one day I felt my left hand going numb. It starts with a tingle and then you lose sensitivity. And I knew something was wrong and went to see a doctor again and battery of tests again. And they said this time it was much more serious. It was like my immune system attacking the nerve cell themselves, like the substance, not only the outer sheath, but like really attacking the white matter. And if it happened again, then I was going to be an MS patient, like officially. And that was so brutal because I had just had this high, like, I've had overcome this illness and 6 weeks in hospital and not being able to walk. That's adversity. That's like tough. It's scary and it sort of disrupts your life in a way where, like, in a big way. It's not like, a tiny plan gone wrong. It's just something huge where you wonder, what am I going to be? Am I going to be able to walk again? So then I had been set free from that. And then I got the next hit. And I thought that was so tough, so scary also because with MS, you have no idea where you're going. You could lose your eyesight. You could be in a wheelchair. I just had this for this first episode. I just had my left hand and it sort of went up into my arm that it felt like numb and weird. They told me if this happens again, something like this happens again, then you're an MS patient. So for a year, I just hoped that it wouldn't come back. And I told myself it wouldn't come back. And I lived normally. That was really all I could do. And I think it's one of the big lessons that I have from all these things that happened to me. If you look too far ahead, you're going to scare yourself to death. You just have to focus on today and say, what can I do today? And I try to just live normally. My kids were still small. I was just looking after them and enjoying my time with them much more than before my first illness, because that had taught me to not complain about chores, not get worked up about useless stuff. Because, when you're in a hospital bed and you can't move, you have such a longing for being able to do the dishes. It's amazing. So I really try to live in the day and not worry too much. And then after a year, I could feel a tingling in my spine, and I knew I had a relapse. Went to see the doctor. I caught it very early, and it was super mild. I only caught it because I was doing a yoga pose on the bedroom floor, and then it sort of bent the spine, and there was this tingling. So I got treatment right away. No big damage was done, but the imagery showed that there had been inflammation and a lesion. And so I was officially diagnosed. This is MS. You need lifelong treatment. And I said, what do you mean, lifelong treatment? Yeah, you're going to start injecting yourself with interferon beta, and you're going to have to do that for the rest of your life. I fought with the doctor for an hour. I said, come, hang on. You have to explain this to me. If I start this now, and maybe, I could be getting better and I would never know because I would think it's the treatment, but maybe it's my body that's getting better. How will I ever find out? And he said, oh, no, we're not going to take that risk. This is just how we do things. He was not used to someone, asking so many questions and And I really needed to know because it scared the living daylights out of me to think, oh my God, I need treatment for the rest of my life. That takes so much power away from you. So much independence lost. But after an hour of arguing, I had sort of had to give in because that was the only thing that he could recommend or he would do. There was no other way. And then I had to start injecting myself 3 times a week, which is very unpleasant because my skin reacted to the injections, and then you get these flu-like symptoms. And on the day you inject yourself, so you inject yourself, and then you feel tired, heavy, like you're getting the flu. And I thought that I just took over the counter prescription like painkillers and stuff because I didn't want to be a sick person. I just wanted to live a normal life. I had been so grateful to get a normal life back. I didn't want to go down that road. I didn't want to have the identity of a sick person. And I asked my doctor also if I could exercise, and said something like, "Yeah, but you want to be careful." And that was all he said, which is, if I think about this now, I'm actually a little bit angry because it doesn't mean anything. It's not helpful. He could have said, I don't know much about this. I don't know about the effects, or I don't know what you want to do, or I don't know your particular reaction, what it's going to be. He just didn't commit. He just said, yeah, be careful. Like, you're on your own. I have nothing to do with this. But I talked to a nurse, the one who explained to me how to inject myself. And she said, exercise is great for MS because you become fatigue resistant. You fatigue your body, it comes back stronger. And fatigue is a big problem in MS patients. So, okay, yeah, let's do that. And I went to the gym armed with a new book. The book was not new when I bought it, but it was new for me. And it was one of the first books that said women should lift heavy. Women should not stabble with pink dumbbells. They should lift like men. And I love the idea because what I wanted when I went to the gym, at that point in my life, I wanted to build myself back up. I didn't want to go to the gym to stay in shape or to achieve a certain physique or to do what I need to do to sort of stay healthy. I really wanted my strength and my power back, and I wanted to do that in this physical, empowering way. And it worked like a charm. I got better so fast. My legs, they had, they had been a little bit atrophied, and everything just came back. Even reflexes that the doctors had said those are never going to come back. Everything became normal again, and we moved again. I found a new neurologist in Spain, and when after I think it was after 4 years of injecting myself and not really enjoying it, I went to see him and I said, "We're going on a camping trip in Canada. Can I suspend the treatment for 3 weeks because I don't want to take this apparatus and all this stuff? Or camping, it just doesn't feel right, and then the medication has to be in the fridge." And you take a plane and you ask the flight attendant, "Can you put something in the fridge for me?" They laugh at you. It's no way. And he said, "If you want to stop the treatment like for good, I'm going to support you with that." And I thought, what? I was told that this was a life sentence, right? And then he says, "No, if you want to stop." See, of course I want to stop. How's that possible? And he said, and I'm grateful for him for saying what he said then, because not many doctors would sort of admit that. He said, right now, we are not really that sure that this is an effective treatment for MS. So, wow. I think it's normal. That's just medicine, how it works. You use something and then you have doubts and you test. I'm not saying that I have been sort of cheated on or anything. But for me, that was so liberating because the fact that I had been without any symptoms, anything for all those years when I injected myself, I had this thought that it was probably because I was doing better. It was probably not because of the treatment, because if the treatment is not even working, I was probably better because my body was healing. So that gave me courage, and I said, yes, hell yes, let's stop this. And that was 6.5 years ago, and I haven't had any symptoms or any treatment since.
Oh my goodness, that is incredible. So, when you were going to the doctor that day and you in Spain and you said, I want to take a break for 3 weeks, Was this a new doctor at the time? Was this like the first time going to this doctor, or was this something that like you had been to him, but this was the first time you brought it up? And I can understand knowing when you were told one thing from a medical professional, you know, this is a lifelong thing. This is just like what we do, and this is what you have to deal with. It's hard not to, and you did, and even still, you still fought back a little bit and tried to persuade him to have for options. But what happened in that visit?
Yes, so he was not, it was not my first visit with him, but he was a different doctor from the one who first prescribed the treatment because we moved again. We changed countries again. We went from France to Spain. So this guy was a Spanish doctor. I just found, I think I really consider myself so lucky because we arrived in Spain. I knew I needed a neurologist to prescribe my treatment to keep just injecting myself. So I just Googled and I found this guy. Turns out he's very up to date with research. He goes to conventions. He just keeps himself informed and learns more and more about this. So he's really very attentive, very curious, always looking for new ways, new treatments. And that day he told me, we don't know. You might have a relapse, but if you do, we're not going back to that treatment. We're then going to try something new. And he's a different guy. He was a different person from the first one who just said we're going to do this. When I when I first saw him, the first thing we talked about was football and Real Madrid and who was going to win the league and things like that. So he was just more open, and not only on this relational level, but you could tell that he was open also because he was looking at the new research, always trying to find new things. And I'm eternally grateful for this guy because he's really he's given me a second chance at life.
Oh, I love that. I know it's been one thing to go and think, I've been through this medical scare, but that's behind me. And then to have something come up again is even one of the things that you said that I thought was so true is just when you are sick and you're laying in a hospital bed, you realize how much we take for granted, like day to day too. It's like, of course I would rather be doing the dishes or vacuuming my house right now than not being able to move. And I've been in situations where I've been really sick too, and like I just want to be able to feel normal so that I can do all of the things, even the things that aren't so fun at the same time. That I would
Yeah.
kill for that. So when you had asked about doing exercise before all of these things happening, you had mentioned that you were doing a yoga pose. So you did maybe some yoga, but were you ever doing strength training? Was this like something that just came to you you're intuitively, or did you, I used to go to the gym here and there, but or was it like, no, I think this is something that will help me and brand new?
Yeah, no, I was a gym goer,
Okay.
but I was not. It was not in the same spirit. It was like just a little bit going through the motions and doing what you had to do and using the machines that that people use. So I was not totally new to the gym, but there was something else when I talked to the doctor. It was really this deep desire of getting my strength back and not being dependent, like physically dependent on people again. I felt that I needed to do this. So maybe because I had this connection and I'd been to the gym, that was like a more obvious choice. I'm not sure it would have sort of, come to me if I had not been there before. And then also the book, it sounds weird and crazy, but sometimes books change lives. And it was also the book that appealed to me and that got me into this idea of, yes, that's what I need to do. I need to lift heavy.
When I first started my wellness journey, I had already been in the skincare industry for years, working on client skin and as an educator for multiple skincare brands. When I learned about how the toxins in our personal care and beauty products could have a negative impact on our health, I knew I needed to make a change. I was used to the result-driven products that I was working with, and I was not happy with the natural products on the market at that time. Although they were safer and cleaner, they did not meet my expectations for results. I created Simply Just Skincare to deliver the results my clients demanded from their products while using natural, toxin-free ingredients. You can check out my clients' results and reviews on my website, simplyjustskincare.com. In 30 days, my clients have reported more hydrated skin, less appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and more of an overall glow. Our top sellers include our Repair Toner, our Hydrating Undo Serum with hyaluronic acid, and more. I am offering my listeners 20% off their first order with code PODCAST. Check it out in the link in my show notes to get glowing today.
So tell me how you started, because this wasn't something that you were used to doing. And obviously you had the book, but when you got into the gym and your mindset is completely different. I'm not here to like get into a bathing suit. I'm here to get stronger. I'm here to get well and use these weights to help build muscle in my body. What did that look like for you when you first started?
It basically you focus on movement. It's crazy because you want to build muscle, so you would think I will focus on muscle, like bodybuilders do, like specific muscle groups and doing bicep curls and stuff. But actually, if you want to get strong and build good muscle for the entire body, you focus on movements. So you do like there's like a few basic human movements that we do every day and that we need to do and that we don't work on in the gym, like pulling, pushing, carrying stuff, picking stuff up from the floor, or pulling stuff down from above. So I just went into these what today I would call them powerlifting moves, like deadlifting and squatting and bench presses, stuff I don't do anymore now, but that's what I started with. So like basic movements that in a way um, emulate everyday activities, because that's what we were built and that's what we evolved to do, and we now need the gym to just to create something similar, because otherwise our bodies won't function in the way they're meant to function.
Okay, so and now you work with other women, or I don't know if you work with men too, but you have clients who you're working on helping them understand like this is important. And if there's one thing that I've learned in this year, over a year of doing this podcast and talking to fitness professionals, is that we lose muscle as women as we age. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm getting older, like I don't need the weights, it's like we need them more than ever. And it's something that is so important. And just like you were saying with like picking up things and also just like things that we would normally be doing anyways. And we want to be able to do those things as we age and up until whenever. So tell me a little bit more about like how you work with your clients in a way to kind of show them this. And do you have a lot of people who come to you that are like, only do cardio, or like I just run, or whatever it is, and they're like, oh, I'm not used to doing the weight training? Or do a lot of people do weights when you start working with them?
No, most people who come to me and who resonate with my message are women, well, they're in midlife. They might have like a history of having been to the gym before, but having dropped out. But most of them know that they need this, but just don't know where to start and how to start, which is totally normal. It's difficult. And what I do, and I think that's a really big part of my success, is I help them start at home 15 minutes a day. We could start with a very gentle activation. So many women, they don't want to go to a gym, and I understand them. I love being in the gym, but it's because I have evolved, and I have lots of experience, and I'm used to going there. I totally understand women who don't want to go to the gym. And there's not only this feeling of, being out of place and not knowing what to do and feeling like everybody's watching you. It's also a bit of an extra obstacle when it comes to actually starting your strength training. That's why I do stuff, gentle activations, depending on where you're at. Sometimes you just have to wake up that connection between your brain and your body, because it's sort of offline. You haven't done anything for a long time, so you don't even know how to contract your glutes, your butt muscles. It really happens. So we start with just reactivating that, or light body weight exercises. Put a little bit of load on the muscles, like get them working very gently. And I insist on starting with 15-minute bouts to lower that resistance, to lower that fear, that intimidation, that fear of the unknown, and also the resistance that we all have as humans to change. Our brain doesn't like change. Our brain wants us to stay where we are because even though we might not be comfortable, at least we know we're sort of safe and it's like the devil you know. So if I were to design a program where you have to drive to the gym 3 times a week to work out for an hour, so you'd have to pack a gym bag, you have to get into your car, you have to start driving through traffic, go to the gym, find parking, walk through the door, get into the changing room, get changed, walk on the gym floor, and then only then it starts. So the first thing that's going to happen in your life, some could be some mishap in your day, or maybe you're just having like a really bad day. You're not going to do all these things just to work out, just to do a training that you've never done before and that you're not used to yet and that you're not enjoying yet, maybe. So what I do is 15 minutes every day in the morning. You can do it in your pajamas. That way, the resistance is like really minimized. There's very, very little that can get in the way. And by making it so small and so easy, you take small steps to create positive reinforcement. You do it, you feel great about yourself. So the next day you do it again because you remember it made you feel good. And then you build that habit, that tiny habit that, later on when you become stronger and more advanced and you want more of a challenge, you can move to 3 trainings a week, still at home if you want to, and do like a little bit longer workouts. But I think it's really important to know that you do not have to overhaul your entire life and become a gym rat to get strong. You want this to be, as easy and as accessible as possible.
Yeah. And I love that point because you don't need a bunch of time. You don't need 2 hours in the gym to see results either. And I think that's such a good point. I have a friend who has a back issue, and I don't remember the person that she was working with that was training her, but she only started by doing 2 days a week of 15 minutes. And it made such a huge difference. Like, she could not believe it. She's like, I'm spending 15 minutes and it's not even a big deal. My back is stronger. Like, I'm seeing all these results. Like, she even gained muscle and her body changed. And I was like, dang, like that is such a good point and a good reminder. It's, if you love the gym, go to the gym. Like, I have a gym, a studio that I go to twice a week, and I absolutely love going there. I like get to see all my friends. It's very social. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not intimidated.
Yes.
If I don't look the way everybody else does, that doesn't bother me. But I can see how, if you haven't been doing, I've been going to the gym since I was 20. So it's like very natural for me. It's not intimidating. It's fun. But I'm also like a huge fan of working out at home because of time. And it just saves so much time. It's so easy. Like, I can do it all before my kids are up and I'm like done for the day. And I don't look
Yes.
good when I do it. And it doesn't matter. I just wake up and do it. And it's just such a good option for, especially if you are that person who's like, this is intimidating. I mean, really, the first time you start going to the gym and there's like, how do you rack the stuff that you need, and like what's the etiquette, and like there's people everywhere, and maybe it's a line to get on the machine that you want. So I love that option that you have, especially when you're starting out.
Yes, it's also very practical in the way that in order to save time, for example, and to raise intensity a little bit, you want to do supersets. Everybody knows supersets, like you do one exercise and then another, like back to back. And
Hmm.
the first muscle group rests while you work the second one. So you don't need long rest periods. It's something that's extremely difficult to do in a gym because if you need 2 pieces of equipment, you cannot hog 2 pieces of equipment and you might not even get to it because there's people there. You cannot say, okay, I need the bench press now and I need the squat rack. So please don't use this. It's just for me. It doesn't work. Whereas at home, you can alternate and do whatever you want and be like really time efficient. And it's true that most of my clients tell me after 2 weeks that they feel a difference in how they feel. They feel stronger. And I think it's mostly this awareness that you gain, that you could reconnect with your musculature and that you know and feel that you have these muscles because you're using them. And then the other part is they just feel so energized. They say, oh, I can't believe that I have so much energy. That's amazing. And that's wonderful. And it's great that it happens fast because that way we get motivated and we keep going.
Yes, I know. Like, yeah, that is the best result when you are actually able to put two and two together. Like if I do this, I mean, I think this is why I've been going to the gym for so long and working out, because I just know no matter what, I mean, not even all the other benefits, I just feel better, like period. I feel
Yes,
better. I'm
absolutely.
happier. My mood is like, I think one of the biggest reasons why I work out, like that's my why. And I don't even, it's not even a like, oh, I don't want to, or should I? It's just like, I just do it because I already know that I'm going to be in a bad mood if I don't do it,
Yes.
especially now that I know and I'm learning even more about why it's so important. So, one thing I would love to talk to you about is like kind of the mindset piece too around this, because you had a really good reason to do this. But, you're also like, if you're not feeling good or you've had like a big diagnosis that is like life changing. And so I think it would be really easy to be kind of let that take over, that feeling of disappointment and overwhelm about the fact that you might have to live with this. You had 4 years of having to do these injections that literally 3 days a week made you feel like you had the flu. That's the worst feeling. So that is such a long time to be going through something like that. Like, how did you get through that and still be a mom to 3 kids and do all of your daily activities and work and all of that, and not just be like, I just give up, or you know what, I don't want to deal with the gym or whatever else I'm trying to do to be healthy. Like, how did you get through that?
From the very beginning, I had this reluctance. I didn't want to be a sick person. I didn't want that identity. And I think it's rooted in my hospital stay, where, especially when you can't move, you're paralyzed, you become a thing. You become an object because you're not your own boss. You don't decide anything. Not when you wake up, not when you have your first cup of coffee, not even when you go to the shower. I couldn't even decide when I was going to the toilet, to call someone to help me get there. So this identity of a sick person was something that I wanted to avoid at all cost, because I felt that it was going to take me back into this state. It sounds really brutal, but in hospital, I felt like dehumanized. I, because I also had these weird symptoms that didn't fit together. Every other day, a doctor would come and say, "Can I bring my students?" And then they would gather around my bed and look at me like like a weird phenomenon that we're going to talk about. Um, so I think that not wanting to be that sick person, not wanting to be that person, was a big, big driver for me, and that's also why I chose to just take ibuprofen to, get over this flu thing, not worrying about, oh my God, is it good for my body if I take these things. I just decided it was going to be good for me if I was going to be able to just live my life and have a normal day. And I'm really glad I did, because the time went by and now I don't have to do that anymore. It helped me just do everything that you just described, look after my kids, go to the gym. And during that time, as I said, we moved from France to Spain, and I arrived in Spain, signed up for a new gym and everything, and I didn't tell anybody that I had a miss, not one soul. I just didn't want this thing written on my forehead that I was a sick person. And it helped me with my attitude too, because I just sometimes I think, is this what they call denial? Maybe I was just denying my reality, but I think it served me all right. It was good for me that I did deny that thing.
Oh yeah, I love that. I don't think it's denial. I think like and I'm learning so much about this now, and I've been reading books on this, and just like what we tell ourselves and what we identify with, like you were saying, like you didn't want to identify that way, and how powerful our minds are and how much we can sort of change our lives just by different things we think. It's so easy to default to, well, the doctor says this and that, and like, oh, like that just it's so hard. And of course I get how it's easy to do that, but your life can really improve and not stay that way that you don't want it to if you kind of change that about the way you think and the things that you say. And I think it's also powerful, so I love that. Are there any other tips that you want to share with us as far as, for people who are maybe new and they want to start building muscle, they really want to take this seriously and incorporate this into their lives, and now that they're getting older and they're like, okay, I don't want to be a competitive bodybuilder, but I want to prioritize this for my life, my health, and being able to do all those things that I want to be able to do them until I'm old.
Yes, definitely you want to start yesterday. So, don't wait around. Don't think too much. I think we're now at a point in time where we just know, humanity knows that we have to do this to be healthy. It's directly related to longevity and it's directly related to quality of life. I
Yeah.
think that should sort of clinch it for everyone because it really gives you so much quality of life. You can do so many things that you would miss out on if you didn't were not to look after that. That's the first thing. Really start, and then make sure that you start where you are at, and that's a little bit tricky. You have to find out what your actual status is because your age, your chronological age doesn't say anything about your physical age. Some people in their 50s struggle getting down on the floor and coming back up. I know people who are in their 80s and they just drop down and jump back up. So that's something you really have to figure out. What is your physical status? What is your energy level also? Maybe you need to start by looking a little bit into sleep before you get up in the morning to train. So you want like a really holistic assessment of your actual situation before you start. There's one example for that I come across very often. We have this new thing. It's not that new, but everybody knows HIIT training, high intensity interval training, and all the science says it's the most effective for burning fat and increasing your metabolism. So many women, and I work with midlife women, they think, oh, okay, this is the fat burning thing, so I'm going to do this. And then they get hurt or they get totally discouraged because HIIT is something that is fantastic for people who are in shape because it truly sucks to do it. If you want it to work, it has to suck. It's not a way of getting in shape. And how will you know? You just read stuff on Google and go, oh, HIIT is good, so it burns fat. I'm going to do that. So you want to have an honest assessment and know exactly what you can do. And the best thing is to really see a personal trainer, see a professional, tell them to assess you. What's your mobility? What's your strength? And then go from there. Start from there. Do you have to start by just mobilizing your joints, or can you already start loading your muscle with body weight exercises? I think that's the most important part because you want to avoid getting injured. That will just throw you back and discourage you so much and make it so much harder to start again. So you want to start right. It will take maybe a little bit longer to find out and to sort of build that project, but then you can keep going for so much longer. And the most important part is not the speed, but the direction in which you are going. So when you take one step at a time in the right direction, you know that you're moving towards where you want to go.
I love that. I know. I know people sometimes don't want to hear that. I want it to be now. I want to see the results fast, but it's so true. If you do this the right way, you're just setting yourself up for long-term success. And also the tip of working with someone, really helping to make sure that you're doing the right things for your body, where you're at, preventing injury, like those things are all so important, especially if this is like more new to you and you're like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I remember like not knowing much. And I mean, I still don't know much. That's why I get help too. But going to the gym and being like, I have no idea. Okay, I'll do like a calf raise and then I'll go here. And I'm just like, am I actually accomplishing anything? I no, absolutely not. But tell us where people can find you, because I think working with a coach and working with someone who can steer you in the right direction, that does save time and that does set you up. So tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, you can go to my website, skimrahir.com, and there is actually a strength and health assessment on there,
Oh,
a free
good.
assessment where you can check out what your status is. So it's not only about can you do 5 push-ups, it's about your overall situation. It's a holistic approach where because we need to check energy levels also and stress levels and all these things play together. So there's an assessment on that on my website that you can take and find out what's your best place to start. You can also follow me on Facebook, Kim Rahir with my name, and that's where I share my own weightlifting journey, lots of tips and tricks and information on training, on nutrition, on mindset. I love talking about mindset. I think it's a big one. Like you said, our mind is so powerful. And then if you want to get in touch, you can always email me also at kim@kimrahir.com, and I'll always answer.
I will make sure I link all of this for you. And so if anyone needs to get in touch, please check out all of the show notes, and all of this information will be there. So thank you so much, Kim. I know you are in Spain, so this is a late night for you. I appreciate you coming on to our show and just really sharing all of this amazing wisdom with us.
Thank you so much, Jess, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. I can go to bed later.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.